Hello fellow video game collectors, and welcome to another Pickups episode. So today I want to talk about a few games that I got on sale from Best Buy a little while back. So I think I've already talked about this before, but just in case if you're not aware, Best Buy has a program called GCU, which is Gamers Club Unlocked. You spend $30 every 2 years, and it gives you a discount of 20% off of all games and Amiibos, whether they're brand new or on sale. I believe the only exception to this is during Black Friday sales, which is a new rule that they added last year. But other than that, this is probably one of the best discount programs that you can get in on. So everything that I want to talk about today has that discount factored into it. So for just $12, I got a copy of Helldivers Super Earth Ultimate Edition. So this version of the game, it has all of the expansions and DLC included on the disc. Plus it also has digital codes in here for you to redeem that give you full digital downloads to both the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita versions of this game. The other cool thing about this game is, it gives you all those versions, but you can also play with 4 players cooperatively in this game across all those different versions. So if one of your friends has a PS4, another has a PS3, and someone else wants to play on Vita, you can all play this game together. So the game is a top-down, squad-based arcade shooter game. It basically plays like a twin-stick shooter where you move with one stick and you aim with the other. But the game, it has a lot of different perks, weapons, and upgrades for you to unlock. You'll be spending quite a few hours trying to unlock them all. So the game is definitely geared more to be played with friends than by yourself, as it can be quite challenging to go at it alone. It's a pretty hard game by yourself. So plus some of the abilities and weapons in the game, they just work better when you have allies supporting you. Just making yourself stronger as a part of a team rather than being just individual units working separately. So overall, this game is it's a great game to just pick up and play with your friends, either online or together on the couch. Plus, it's just simply a great deal. Getting all the different versions of this game together for just one price. Next, for $12, I got a copy of Tearaway Unfolded Crafted Edition. So this is technically a sequel to the PlayStation Vita version, but it's more of what I would call an expanded remake, as it is partially a remake port to the PlayStation 4 from the Vita, and it's also partially an expansion to the original game, as it does include some new content. So Tearaway Unfolded is a cute papercraft looking game. It plays as a mixture of a third-person platformer and a puzzler, with lots of interactions that you'll make with the environment around you. So the overall plot of the game really hasn't changed that much from the original Vita version of the game, but a lot of the gameplay elements were changed and tweaked a bit for the PlayStation 4 controller, since the original was made to play on the Vita. So you're missing some of those features, such as the touch screen here. But the game does take full advantage of the PlayStation 4 controller in new and creative ways, such as using the touchpad that's on the front of the controller here to draw objects in the game, instead of using the touch screen on the Vita. That's how they replaced that. It also uses the light bar on the front of the screen to, you aim around on the screen and it lights up it throws light on dark areas of the game, and it also uses the gyroscope of the controller to move platforms around. Overall though, it's a pretty good remake of the original Vita game. Definitely get it if you've never played the Vita version before, or if you don't have a Vita lying around to play the original game. But there's definitely nothing wrong with the Vita version either, so play whichever version you have available to you or is more accessible to you, whether you have a PS4 or a Vita. So another game that I got for $12 was a copy of Infamous Second Son. So I've actually never played in any of the previous Infamous games before, but I don't think it's really necessary in order to jump into this one. So if you're not familiar with this particular game, it's an open world superhero game, and it looks really beautiful on the PlayStation 4. In the game, there's lots of abilities and powers for you to use, and the combat in the game is really good and pretty fast paced. So with all of these abilities and everything, it has like a tree of powers for you to pick from. It branches out and lets you, have a little choice and, whether you want this power or another. So it gives you a number of various paths to choose your abilities from. In general, the story of the game is pretty good, but unfortunately, it's also fairly short. But you will, however, find yourself playing through the game at least twice, because there is both a good and evil playthrough that you can do in the game. So the game has these morality choices that you can do in it, but the system is pretty simplistic in these good versus evil decisions. And just choosing one or the other, there's not like a gray middle area that you can choose from. Overall, it's a pretty good game. If you're looking for a fun superhero game, then definitely grab this. And then yet again for $12, I got a copy of God of War 3 Remastered. So the God of War series is another series of games that I have never played before, and I really need to, because sometime either later this year or maybe next year, there's going to be a new game coming out in the series. So overall, the game is a pretty good action adventure beat 'em up kind of game, loosely based on Greek mythology. So in this remastered version, it features higher resolution graphics, with better lighting, 1080p resolution and 60 frames per second. And just more detailed textures that just make the overall game look a lot better than the original version of God of War 3. So if you've never played any of the previous God of War games before, there is a recap video in this game to get you caught up. But really, honestly, you should probably get the collector's edition here for PlayStation 3 and play through all of them before you play God of War 3 Remastered. I definitely think it's probably worth it, and it's definitely something that I'm going to do myself, seeing as I haven't played any of them yet. But if you're a fan of God of War and you've already played God of War 3, or maybe you've only played God of War 1 and 2, definitely pick up this one. It's definitely worth it. Then for the 3DS, for just $16, I got a copy of Rodea the Sky Soldier, and this is the launch edition of the game. So I've actually talked about this game before in the past, as I do also own the Wii/Wii U version of the game. I decided to pick this up as I was still able to get the launch edition. I don't think that this game sold very well, mostly because this version for the 3DS is it's pretty inferior to the Wii version, not the Wii U version, but the Wii version of the game. But I kind of think that since it didn't do so well, I kind of expect this game to become more rare in the future for the 3DS. So the collector's edition of this game, inside of this box, it includes the game itself, as well as the original soundtrack, which I don't believe came with this one at all, because the Wii/Wii U version, it's just got the different disc for the Wii version of the game as well as the Wii U. So if you're confused about all these different versions of the game, inside of this one, the Wii version of the game is like the definitive version of the game. It's just the best because this game, it was supposed to come out a few years ago on the Wii, and it just was never released. And so what they did is they took the Wii version and they actually ported it to the 3DS. So it plays a bit differently, and they downscaled the graphics, and then they took the 3DS version of the game and they ported it to the Wii U. And since they ported it from the Wii U version from the 3DS version of the game instead of the Wii version of the game, it's definitely inferior to the Wii version of the game. So I know that sounds really confusing, but long story short, if you really want to play this game, get it on the Wii. So the ported versions of the game to the 3DS and the Wii U, they just don't play as good as the original Wii version of the game, and graphically they just don't look as good. So if you don't know anything about the game, I think the best comparison to it might be one of the more modern Sonic games, because it's pretty fast paced. You're flying around all over the place and you're trying to collect things. In short, you're probably better off just picking up the Wii U slash Wii version here. I don't think that the Wii version is actually sold separately yet, so the only way to get the Wii version is to get this combo pack here. So if you want to play this game, definitely pick it up. Get this copy here so you can play it on the Wii. I would probably say the only real reason to get it for 3DS is if you just want to play it on the go. Next, for $19, I got a copy of Worms WMD, and this is the All-Stars edition of the game. So I am just a huge fan of the Worms series. I've played through a number of the games in the series before. So my friends and I, we had a lot of fun playing through Worms Battleground on the Xbox One. It was one point in time a free game on Xbox with Games with Gold. So we all got it for free and we just had so much fun playing it. So when I saw that there was a new Worms game coming out for the Xbox One, I knew that I just couldn't say no to it and I just couldn't pass this one up. So this All-Stars version of the game, which actually this version is different than the base game as it has this slipcover here. It includes what they call the All-Stars pack, which was a day one DLC that they bundled with the game. It just includes some new skins in the game for your Worms, and they're just based on other video games such as Rocket League. So a lot of people consider this game to be more of a direct successor to Worms Armageddon, and here I have the N64 version of that game. And they say that because this game, it goes back more to the older style of the 2D graphics, and they removed some of the newer features found in the more recent Worms game, such as classes. You know, like when you could choose to have smaller worms or bigger worms. For example, the bigger worms, whenever they died, they blew up in a bigger radius. So they did away with that. Instead, they just wanted to go back to more of a old school Worms game. Given that, however, it still does feature a few new additions in the game. For example, you're able to craft weapons in the game, and you can do this by picking up parts throughout the level, or you can break down some of the weapons that you already have. You can also, with this crafting, you can craft variants of the standard weapons in the game, which just it gives you more options than you would normally have. An example of this crafting is, for example, the Super Sheep in the game. You can craft a version of it that just sprays fart gas all over the screen, which is poisonous. And you know, it does that instead of just the normal Super Sheep that flies around and explodes. And you know, coming up with the different variants, like the one that, you know, it spews out fart gas everywhere, you know, I just thought that was hilarious. So Worms is a classic game to return to if you just want to play a few quick rounds of you know, massive destruction with your friends. I highly recommend picking up this or Battlegrounds, or, you know, any other version of the Worms game. So then the next game that I got from Best Buy was a copy of Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival for just $16. So this is the bundled version of the game, as it includes 2 amiibos inside of it in the box here, and you absolutely must have Animal Cross amiibos in order to play this game, and you need at least one for every single player that you want to play with. And since I own so many Animal Crossing amiibos, I decided to go ahead and pick up this game, even though I already knew going into it that it isn't a really good game. So the game kind of plays like an Animal Crossing themed Mario Party game. So it's a board game where, you know, you move around on the board and you land on either good spots or bad spots, which cause you to either gain or lose money. There's also happy points in the game, kind of like the stars in Mario Party, that you gain throughout the game, and, you know, whoever has the most happy points at the end of the game is the person who wins the game. But this game, it just relies way too much on amiibos. You're constantly having to use them with the game, and, you know, it really just isn't a lot of fun. So if you don't have any of the Animal Crossing amiibos or amiibo cards, then you should probably just skip out on this game. Then the final game that I got for just $10 was a copy of DuckTales Remastered for the Wii U. So this is a remake of the original NES game, which I personally think is one of the best NES games of all time. And this game is a very faithful remake of the original game, as it both looks and plays a lot like the original NES game. So the graphics in the game have been completely redone and just this beautiful HD quality. It has a really nice colorful art style. It definitely looks like a Disney game. Plus the music, now has just this really good new take on the original NES chiptunes, which, were probably already some of the best chiptune music for the NES already as they were. They just did a really good job redoing those songs in this game. So this game also has more expanded story scenes than the original game, including some voice acting, but the gameplay is still pretty much the same. You're using your pogo stick cane to jump around and attack your enemies by jumping on their head. That's still there. So overall though, it's a pretty solid remake. Definitely check it out if you were a fan of the original, or even if you just like the DuckTales cartoon. And that's everything that I've got to show for today. As always guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, as that always helps me out. Leave a comment down below if you want to talk about any of the games that I mentioned today. And if you're new to the channel, then be sure to subscribe. And remember, you gotta get the power up to beat the game. Here on the it definitely looks like a Disney game.